Hey everybody. I realize it's been a long time since I've done any videos. I've kind of sort of just put my channel on hold or pause, still frame, whatever you want to call it, while the whole coronavirus thing is going on. I try to dedicate all of my limited free time to studying it and making sure I keep my family safe. So that's kind of my prerogative right now. So I apologize that there's not really much narcissism related content, but I got tons of videos on that right now anyways, so not hurting for that. I want to talk about a specific kind of misinformation I've been seeing a lot, like in the last week or 2 weeks, and I finally just kind of sort of I wouldn't say lost my patience or lost my shit over it, but it's to the point where whenever I see it, I get very concerned that I see every time I get on Facebook, I see this, and so like that's concerning. And it's this: I see a lot of posts that are copy paste. Copy paste this if you agree. So the first clue is this is actually a brainwashing tactic. And it's a little outside the scope of this, but suffice it to say, with the brainwashing, it's always a long post, and usually the first and the end part stir up some sort of emotional reaction with you. It's either going to make you mad, or it's going to make you proud, or it's going to make you really sad. So the brainwashing posts start and end with specifically targeted emotional provocation. And then in the middle, there's little nuggets of misinformation. And so it's a lie sandwich, basically. I did a video on the anatomy of a lie sandwich. But that's basically what it is. It starts and it ends with emotionally stirring content. And then it sort of there's little lie sprinkles all throughout it. And that's really what the goal of it is. So in all of these copy paste, if you agree, kind of posts that I'm seeing, I keep seeing references to immunity. Develop your immunity. Focus on staying healthy, staying strong. Build your natural immunity. I also see things like, it's going to spread until we reach herd immunity. These are complete and total bullshit when it comes to the coronavirus. They're absolutely not applicable in the least when it comes to the coronavirus. Not even a little bit. And here is why. The coronavirus is a novel virus, meaning it has never coexisted where it affects humans. Your body literally has no clue what it should be doing to develop immunity because it's never had it before, ever. So that's just absolutely just inaccurate to begin with, right? So it's not even possible. But let's, for the sake of argument, say that maybe it is possible. Okay, with viruses, you don't pre-develop. You do not preemptively develop an immunity to a viral pathogen. You don't preemptively do that. The immunity comes after the infection, right? So if you want to be immune to the coronavirus, you have to catch the coronavirus. Boom, that it's a self-defeating strategy. You're like, hey, so I want to be immune from the coronavirus, so what do I have to do? You have to catch the coronavirus? Cool. Okay. Well, that's dumb, okay? And third, with herd immunity is a concept that occurs in nature, but it's not at all like what it's being presented in these copy-paste posts. I think they call them copy pastas, right? But in all these anything you see talking about herd immunity is bullshit, okay? And let me break it down for you. Herd immunity is not actual immunity. It's a coefficient, which is basically like a multiplier or a scale. Think of like, the camera on your phone has a zoom, and it has a little number like 1x, 2x, 3x, that kind of thing. That number is, you just think that's the zoom level, right? But that's a mathematical coefficient. When it's 2x, that means you're zoomed in twice as much. That's coefficient, okay? Herd immunity is a coefficient for how easy or difficult it is for a virus to infect a vulnerable population. In other words, viral herd immunity slows down the spread of a virus, but nowhere at all in our history ever of virology has herd immunity ever eradicated a virus. Never, never, never. So why do we hear about it whenever we talk about other viruses that are no more, like smallpox and what is it, polio, and some of these other ones? Well, that's where the common term comes into play. You can boost herd immunity with vaccines, and if you make vaccines mandatory, then you can get a population that is so sufficiently immune that you end up with what's called free riders, as in the people riding for free, like the anti-vaxxers, where so many people are vaccinated that they really don't need to vaccinate themselves. And yeah, it's more risky, but so are vaccines, and I think I can probably get by without it. Those are free riders. But that level of herd immunity does not occur in nature. It just doesn't. And we don't have vaccines. Every disease, every virus that has been eradicated by humanity has been at least a 7 to 10 year effort, and it took several years of having a vaccine to do that, for it to even work. So, yeah, herd immunity is not something that eradicates diseases naturally. It can only help and assist in the eradication of the disease, because you have to take care of other things too. Like with malaria, not only did they have to vaccinate people, but they went through Central America and they chopped down a bunch of forests and burned a bunch of stuff. And it was, I think it was the malaria that they were fighting. Was it? No, malaria's still around. One of those. They were attacking something. Teddy Roosevelt, something, 1920s, whatever. Okay, but the point of it is, there's not just the vaccines and there's not just herd immunity. It is a major undertaking to eradicate a disease. Okay, it's not simple. And it's being spread around like, oh, well, let's just wait around. Sunlight kills it, which it does. Sunlight kills it in a matter of minutes, which is fine during the summer. But here's something that people don't think about. Okay, this is a global pandemic. North Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere. It's becoming summer in the Northern Hemisphere, and it's becoming winter in the Southern Hemisphere. And for a virus that hates heat, it's going to travel south for the winter. This is already a pandemic. It's down there. So, it's not going away. It's just moving. And you have to think of it like that. And why is this important? This is why it's important, okay? Even with herd immunity and with vaccine-boosted immunity, viruses do, in fact, fight back against growing herd immunity, okay? So with viruses, the more difficulty it has finding a suitable host, the harder it works to produce a new mutation and a new strain that can infect a new host. So a virus just doesn't roll over and die, okay? And the perfect example of this is the flu. The fact that we had a pandemic of the flu 100 years ago, and we still have the flu. Why do we have the flu? Because it evolves, it mutates. Maybe not every single year, but certainly every 3 to 5 years it does. And in a big way. Just more recently, we had the avian flu, we had the swine flu, we've had H1N1, H5N1, the Niner, Alpha, Bravo, Tango, Whiskey, Charlie, Niner, something. Like all these different variations of the flu. Well, it's still the flu. It's just a different mutation of it. It's just a different strain of it. It fights back. And if you want to know the specific mechanisms which it uses to fight back, it's known as antigen drift is one. Antigen shift is another. And then there's, what is it? God, I can never think of it. It's like serotypal shift or serotype or something. I'll think of it in a minute. I actually wanted to write that one down before I started this video. And I was like, oh no, I totally remember it. Just say it 3 times and click my heels and I'll still forget. So, but anyways, you don't have to know. It's on the Wikipedia page for herd immunity. Go to Wikipedia, type in herd immunity, and read it, and you'll find out real quickly just why it's really dumb as a strategy. It's not. It's literally an anti-strategy for dealing with a virus. Like, it's so bad. This is literally like an attack on people in the developed world to literally try and cause people to go get sick by spreading this stuff. Oh, but it's got a really feel good feeling at the very beginning and the end, right? But lastly, and here's the thing, I joined a number of COVID survivor groups and coronavirus research groups on Facebook. I think I'm maybe somewhere a member of between 5 and 10 of these groups, just so I get a nice smattering of different information. And this is what I've learned. First of all, I have a personal friend who is one of the early cases in Seattle for the coronavirus when it first appeared. The first U.S. cases were in Seattle. She was there, and she got sick in the beginning of March. She's still sick. She still can't go back to work, and it's now May, so it's like close to 60 days. And she's still fighting just to stay here, the whole concept of it they claim that you recover in 14 days is complete bullshit. There's people going on 48 days, 50 days, 60 days. A lot of the original cases in Seattle are still sick, and they were like the first ones, okay? It really begs the question of the fact of how did China all of a sudden just shut the lid on that? Because they're such an honest regime, right? No, they're lying, okay? Especially because whenever they said that they got it under control and they did the quarantine and they shared all this information with the rest of the world, doesn't seem to be working anywhere else in the world. China literally gave everybody bad facts to work on that did nothing to stop the spread. So, if China did actually stop the spread of coronavirus, they did not do it the way that they told the rest of the world. So the rest of the world is now suffering, and the Chinese know something we don't, or they have a cure that we don't. And that's entirely possible. Maybe they're holding the cure ransom to President Trump to come up with a better trade deal or something. Who knows? That's just all speculation and just the shit I think about whenever I'm showering, right? And it's a step too far. But in any case, we know for sure you don't recover in 14 days. You don't. Some people might, but a lot of people do not recover in 14 days. A lot of people have not recovered. And that begs the question of, well, can you recover at all? Or is this a more permanent kind of thing, like HIV is for life, herpes is for life, polio is for life, a lot of viruses are for life. Chickenpox is for life. It goes away, lays dormant, and it comes back as shingles one day whenever you're older, and you just wake up in the morning like, oh man, oh my God, it's hideous, Shingles just pop up and they're like, hello, remember me? So, yeah, some viruses go away, like, cold, flu, but it just, we don't know. It's a novel virus. We literally don't know shit. We don't know shit. It's only been here 2 months, and already people are like, oh, you know what? I think it'll just go away on its own. Really? Because we don't know shit about it. We know dog shit about it. And just because you read something that makes you feel good doesn't make it true. It just doesn't. Every disease that we've actually eradicated has been a multi-year, close to decade effort. Or it's been a localized epidemic. When you have like a localized outbreak, then you can kind of sort of make the herd immunity argument. If it's a little small outbreak, or if you catch it in time, like we did with Ebola when it came over here a few years ago. We caught it and we jumped right on it. The problem with coronavirus is there's really no way to do that because it's 2 whole weeks before you even know that it's been here. So it is a silent and deadly killer. It's a real asshole. So, what else can I talk about? Oh yeah, right. When you look at viruses like STDs, how do we handle STDs like HIV and herpes, HPV and all those other ones? Social distancing, just sexual social distancing. We use condoms, safe sex. Don't be an airport for cock or vagina. You just, don't exercise a little control. Don't go out every night on a fuck fest. You just exert self-control, wear protection, and generally ask around. Do you know anybody with herp, the herp? No? Good. Okay, because I'm talking to your friend over here. Just wanted to, yeah, what's up? So we do a number of things to sort of pre-screen. We do the casual friend check kind of stuff. We wear condoms. We don't become mass consumers of genitals. We don't do these things. Why? Because we all understand we could get AIDS, and AIDS is pretty fucking permanent, right? Well, it's not permanent. Some people have recovered. The only thing is a lot of people die before they recover. So that's a complication and a half, Look at what happened with the porno industry. Yeah, I'm going to go there. I forget exactly when it was, but there was one actor, tested positive for HIV. And this lady, she sailed as a hero. I don't know her name off the top of my head, but she was a previous porn actress turned manager or agent or producer or something like that. Anyways, the story goes, some dude tested positive for HIV, and they literally shut down the entire porno industry and got every single person tested. And they treated it very seriously because the last thing in the world they needed was to see a repeat of the early 80s when the epidemics broke out and a lot of people died. Horrible deaths, So, yeah, whole industries have shut down over viruses before. So this isn't new. It's just the largest scale that we've ever seen it because certain factors make it difficult. So yeah, one other I remember now. The last thing I was going to circle back on herd immunity, right? There's something called the HIT factor, HIT, herd immunity threshold, and that's a number, that's a percentage, right? So like, say something like AIDS would have a herd immunity threshold of like 99 to 100%. What it means is that the percentage of people that have to have developed immunity either by vaccination or by having had the disease itself or the virus itself. So coronavirus has a HIT factor that's widely variant. And it's really just determined by data, and we all know the data is fucked. Right now, the HIT factor is between 25% and 75%. So, it's either 1 out of 4 or 3 out of 4 people need to get sick before herd immunity develops. Well, shit, if 3 out of 4 people have to get sick to develop immunity, that's not a preventive measure. So 75% of people are going to get sick. You got to sacrifice 3 people to save 1. That is not a winning equation right there. Sweden is finding this out. Sweden's infection rate is through the roof. Their mortality rate is through the roof. Their health minister or whoever, the grand poobah of COVID decisions there, is now saying that they've even been surprised at the mortality, the initial mortality rate, especially among the elderly in nursing homes, because nursing homes are already fairly isolated. And it's like, they're not. They have employees that go out to bars, nightclubs, and engage in casual sex, and not uncasual, serious business sex and whatever other kinds of sex. And they go meet people. They go have drinks. They share drinks with people. They kiss. They smell each other's breath lovingly, like, they do all this weird stuff over there. I don't know. And then they go right back into that isolated little nursing home and spread the joy. Yeah, so, I mean, it's nursing homes are one of the biggest, one of the most threatened community styles that's there. So, yeah, there's the threshold for coronavirus. It can only be calculated on data. I look at the data. I'm a data analyst for a living, and it's not good. The data is horribly inaccurate. I've been doing this 15 years and I cannot get anything that I consider trustworthy out of it. The concept that it's leveled off is just absolute garbage. And I say that's my own personal opinion, looking at the actual numbers myself as a data analyst. If I were to take this data set and take it to my boss and try to make any kind of business case for it, like our business depends on these numbers, I'd probably get fired after the company goes bankrupt. It's terrible. It's terrible data. And that's what you have to calculate this hit factor on, right? Because you have to know how many cases are in an area and how many people have contracted it and how many people have recovered before you can calculate something like herd immunity. And the problem is we got shit data. So we just don't know. Well, we might have to sacrifice as many as 3 out of 4 people to save one person. And that's just dumbass math. There's really no other way to put it. So it's literally retarded. I'm just going to say it. It's the whole immunity argument, herd immunity argument. It's complete bullshit. If you don't believe me, go actually just Google it. People don't even do the work of Googling something anymore, which is insane. Google it and actually read on it. And you'll see that it's really nothing short of malicious. It is absolutely shit written by people that mean harm. And then people that just don't know any better just copy paste it. Just copy paste, because it makes them feel good or feel a certain way. And that sucks, but that's the state of it. Oh, yeah, and you're not going to beat it with eucalyptus oil and apple cider vinegar and lemon juice. Just don't even. If you're going to put something like that in the comments, just don't bother. It's a novel virus. We know dog shit about it. It landed here in the U.S. 2 months ago. Even the most educated people on it only have like 6 months of experience on it. It's taken 7 to 10 years for us to eradicate any kind of disease. And we've been fortunate because those were mostly had a low contagion rate. Polio wasn't exactly this contagious, Look at the flu. How's herd immunity working out for the flu? We still have it after 100 freaking years, don't we? So think about that, It's a shit argument. Chances are good, like, same as the flu, chances are pretty good even after we have a vaccine. By the time we get it developed, there's already going to be so many different strains and mutations out there. This may very well just become a regular fact of life. COVID season along with flu. Flu and COVID season. Flu, COVID, pneumonia season. What if this is the rest of our lives? How are we going to handle this? Well, hopefully we get an answer. I don't have that answer, and it scares the shit out of me. And this has been a long enough video. This is almost 25 minutes of my daughters being absolutely quiet and obedient and well-behaved, which means they're up to something, and I don't trust this length of silence. Yeah, I literally hear nothing, so they're up to something. Anyways, do please like, comment, or share. This is definitely worth something talking about in the comments. Just please keep comments polite. We're dealing with obvious campaigns of misinformation. There's certain veins of bad information that get circulated through social media. But it is something we need to talk about, so please, let's talk about it. And be nice to each other and stay safe. So thanks again. I'll see you on the next video.